Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth brings together two of our most charismatic career criminals. I'm talking about Kazuma Kiryu and Ichiban Kasuga. Game Pass members can play through both men's entire stories right now, but it would take a hot damn minute to do so. So here's a quick catch up on their stories so far for those who want to dive right into the new game when it arrives. So I'm going to start off with Kiryu, the long-standing protagonist of the series formerly known as Yakuza. Over the course of the 6 mainline games, plus a bonus prequel and several spin-offs, Kiryu has gotten up to all sorts of stuff. He's fought his way through the Japanese underworld countless times, while also making time to clear out the odd zombie invasion. Earlier this year, he even became a secret agent. Ooh. We'll try to give you a super quick version of this long, bloody tale here, but if we miss out on any of your particular favourite moments, feel free to fire them off in the comments below. Here we go. So, Kiryu first went to prison back in the original Yakuza after taking the blame for his boss's death to protect his best friend. When he gets out, he meets a young girl named Haruka, who is being hunted down by just about every gangster in Japan. He vows to protect her at all costs, and after countless thrilling battles and the tragic loss of his childhood sweetheart, Kiryu leaves the criminal world behind to start a peaceful life with Haruka. But just when he thought he was out of it, here we go, they pulled him back in, and then they did it again, and then, would you believe it, they did it again. It seems like every single time a high-ranking gangster is killed, Kiryu gets the blame for it, forcing him to suit up once again and go kick some ass. But he does manage to set up an orphanage in the 3rd game and raise a bunch more adorable kids along the way. Things go pretty well for a while, I gotta say. Haruka even becomes a pretty big J-pop star in Yakuza 5. But then, in Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, Kiryu is forced to go back to jail for 3 years to atone for his past crimes. But when he gets out, he finds out that Haruka has been left in a coma by a hit-and-run attack, and that she had a baby, who I guess he's now responsible for. Eventually, Kiryu ends up faking his own death to protect his newfound family, and I can imagine just run away from all that. After stepping away from his old life in Like a Dragon Gaiden and the Man Who Erased His Name, Kiryu makes a deal with a secretive political organisation known as the Daijoi faction, agreeing to become one of their secret agents so long as they provide anonymous funding for his orphanage, wink wink nudge nudge. He might now be a gadget-wielding man of mystery, but he still manages to get himself drawn into the middle of gang war, and once more has to punch his way successfully out again. When the dust has cleared, his handlers agree that he's earned a bit of a vacation time, I think you'll agree as well, which is how he ends up soaking up the sun in Honolulu, and that is where we're going to meet him in Infinite Wealth. But knowing Kiryu, I wouldn't expect the R&R to last too long. Now looking at 2020's Like a Dragon, Yakuza switched up the long-running series by not only trading out its real-time brawling for some zany turn-based battles, but by giving a Kiryu a well-deserved rest as Ichiban Kasuga took over at the main character. Just like Kiryu back in the day, Kasuga is an up-and-coming young gangster whose life is derailed when he is convinced to take the fall for a crime he didn't commit. And when he gets out 18 years later, he finds that his entire clan has been wiped out and sets to find out what happened. The search for the truth uncovers a vast conspiracy involving counterfeit money, dodgy retirement homes, and corrupt politicians, and it also leads to some spectacular battles, plus he gets to make loads of interesting friends along the way. Over the course of Like a Dragon, Kasuga builds up a party of unforgettable characters, including a mysterious homeless man and a wisecracking gangster with a flair for cooking, you could say. Sadly, he does also lose someone very important to him too, his mentor Masumi Arakawa. And to make matters worse, he later finds out that Arakawa wasn't actually just a father figure to him, he was actually his proper biological dad. Oh, and also that Arakawa wasn't really trying to kill him that first time he shot him with a gun, so he can let that go, maybe, I guess. At one point in this roller coaster ride of a tale, Kasuga also meets the legendary Kazuma Kiryu, who I was talking about at the start. After our OG hero convinces Kasuga not to kill a man during a bout of rage, the two of them team up to take down the rest of the bad guys, and it turns out, I think you'll agree, to be the beginning of a pretty beautiful friendship. There are a ton of parallels to be drawn between Kiryu and Kasuga's story. Both were young gangsters who ended up doing time in prison for someone else. Both have been betrayed by those around them, and both of them have lost important people in their lives. And yet they are still incredibly different characters. Kasuga is a Dragon Quest obsessed super nerd who loves to let his imagination run wild and doesn't always have the best control of his emotions. Kiryu, on the other hand, is more of the strong and silent type, especially since Gaiden, as he now spends most of his free time meditating. With this and more level-headed approach to life, and the fact that he's been through so many of the same things, Kiryu could be the perfect mentor for a volatile guy like Kasuga. So it's a good thing they're teaming up again in Infinite Wealth, I guess. In the latest chapter of the Like a Dragon series, here we go, Kasuga learns that rumors of his mother's death have been greatly exaggerated and heads over to Hawaii in search of her. As it turns out though, Kiryu is also on a mission to find and protect good old Mrs. Kasuga, so they decide to team up once again. But there's an undercurrent of tragedy to their burgeoning beachside bromance. That's a sentence. Kiryu has been diagnosed with cancer and may only have a short amount of time left to live. He's even come up with a bucket list of things to do before his time's up. Will he manage to cross it all off? Will Kasuga be reunited with his mother? And will this be the last hurrah for the legendary Kazuma Kiryu? I sure hope not. But you're just going to have to play Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth to find out. Of course, that's just one of the many amazing stories being told on Xbox just now. So to hear about more of them, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Bye bye!